Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Princeton, where in our open and welcoming community, we live our message of hope, love, justice, and joy. If you're visiting this morning, we're very happy that you've joined us, and we extend an invitation to you to join all of our programs and events here at UU Princeton. If you stop by the newcomer table in Robinson Lounge after the service, we can add you to our e-list where we'll let you know about everything that's happening here at our congregation, which continues right through the summer. There's always a lot of fun stuff happening. Again, welcome everyone to UU Princeton this morning, and a special happy Father's Day to everyone out there today. I know if you're like me, you're hoping the day involves a little nap and maybe something good on TV after a while. I hope your day is peaceful, however you celebrate. We invite you to stay after worship, though, today for a Know Your Rights presentation. This will be led by Caroline Corbello, supervising attorney with the Latin American Legal Defense and Education Fund, also known as LAUDEF. It'll be right after the service in Foz Theater, which is over on that side of the building. Know Your Rights discusses the constitutional rights of individuals, regardless of immigration status, particularly in times of increased interactions with ICE. All are welcome at this timely and important workshop because the more we all know, the better off we'll all be. Again, that's right after worship today in Foz Theater. All are welcome. And now, grateful for each and welcoming all, let us be together for a time of peace and balance and breath. Let us pause to remember the good and to seek the true and to witness again the diverse, creative beauty known best in beloved community. Come, let us worship together.
Emma Goldman says, "Someday, men and women will rise. They will reach the mountain peak. They will meet big and strong and free, ready to receive, to partake, and to bask in the golden rays of love." What fancy, what imagination, what poetic genius can foresee the potentialities of such a force in the life of men and women? Now join me in the unison affirmation printed in your order of service. The butterflies lift silken wings to catch a rainbow cry, and trees put forth new leaves to sing in joy beneath the sky when spring and life are new.
Our congregation and everything that we offer one another in the world is built by those who've made the commitments of membership in UU Princeton, those who've signed our membership book and given with time and pledge of their talents and resources to build our congregation. A member is someone who wishes to assure that the gifts they've received as visitors and guests remain abundant and generous for all those to come. Members seek to amplify our voice in the public square. A member seeks to expand our service and broaden our welcome, deepen our care, and make stronger the connections with which we all move through life. Members of yesterday are the reason that our congregation is here today, and members of today are making sure that our congregation receives every stranger in hope, love, justice, and joy tomorrow. And a few times a year, we stop and welcome some of our newest members of UU Princeton, and we're happy to do that in our service today. And to help welcome them, I invite Linda Benson, who coordinates our Welcome Center, to come up to the front and to introduce two of our newest members. Test.
Good morning. I am delighted to welcome Sam Long. Sam has been going to UU congregations on and off for 6 years and recently started to coming to UU Princeton in summer of 2024. Sam has been a part of a chalice circle that she absolutely loves. The chalice circle I facilitate, and we absolutely love her too. She's also part of the adult choir but is currently taking a break due to work scheduling. Sam is so happy to be part of such a welcoming and caring community and is thrilled to become an official member of the congregation. So welcome, Sam. Our other new member is Carol Ann Meyer. Not sure if she's excellent. Carol Ann Meyer found UU Princeton in 2022 while wanting to grow her service projects. An animist informed by Buddhist and yogic traditions, she discovered the 7 UU principles and thought, this is too good to be true. When the second service was pagan-led, she realized these people walk their talk. Carol Ann jumped into a chalice circle, joined the Indigenous Peoples Project Racial Justice Ministry, trimmed plants with the Joyful Gardeners, filled Easter eggs, and worked the spring sale. She signed the membership book in May 2025. Professionally, Carol Ann is an attorney and mediator who worked as a state fraud prosecutor for 25 years, retiring to be a stay-at-home mom, finally, for a year when her only child was a senior in high school. In 2013, she opened a law and mediation practice focusing on family law and consumer protection. Over the past 10 years, Carol Ann's professional work has been shifting into the healing arts, and her passion projects fill more of her time. Carol Ann gives Reiki to patients at a cancer infusion clinic weekly. She teaches meditation and yoga and has delivered a series of human consciousness personal transformation workshops. She makes art and especially has been drawn to metalworking, jewelry making for many years. Carol Ann's favorite ways to be creative and joyful is with friends and family, especially her child, 30-year-old Ryan. Sorry, make him a little older than he really is. And chosen family. Welcome.
Let us join in the unison reading on the print insert that you received in your order of worship. This is our celebration of new members. Please join in. We affirm the bonds that unite each to the holy, that all are born in love, that each bears worth and dignity. We affirm the bonds that unite each to all, that all are of one breath and light, that each is of one sun and earth. We affirm the bonds that unite us in membership, that together we grow in wisdom and strength, that together our gifts grow in reach and joy. Together we practice our faith in the good, our belief in interconnectedness, and our sacrament of service to the world's needs. Together, we practice our celebration of life and honor our grieving of death and care for the sick, the lonely, the frightened. Together, we practice our commitment to justice, our belief in freedom, and our promise to bless beyond belief. Together, we build this congregation anew, one handed to us by forebears now gone, one that will faithfully bequeath to those to come. May our legacy be one of hope, love, justice, and joy. Together, may we bless abundantly and leave as our legacy a world of more peace. And again, Carol Ann and Sam, welcome to membership in UU Princeton. Thank you so much for joining our congregation. And I invite you to join together in the spirit of prayer and meditation Take a few deep breaths. Let your eyes fall closed. Find a moment or two. Oops. Test. Thank you, Doug. It's coming back. Test, test. There we go. Thank you. Let your eyes fall closed. Find a moment or two of peace and quiet. Take a few nice deep breaths as we enter together this space of prayer and meditation. Our words are a Father's Day prayer that's been adapted. It was written by the Reverend Kirk Lodeman Copeland. Let us praise fathers who have striven to balance the demands of work, partnership, and children with an honest awareness of joy and sacrifice. Let us praise those who have worked to become good fathers. Let us pray those who have remained active in their children's lives, who've offered guidance and support. Let us praise those fathers who have healed and who have offered healing. Let us praise those fathers who have lost children and continue to hold their love in their heart. Let us praise those who have no children but cherish the next generation as if they are their own. Those who have fathered us and others in roles as mentors and guides and teachers and coaches. Let us praise those about to become fathers. May they delight in their children. May they be blessed. And let us praise those whose fathers have died but live on in memory, whose love and guidance continues to nurture us, continues to shape us, continues to bless us. And here in the silence of this sacred space, we offer these, the prayers and meditations of our hearts. May it be so, and amen.
I am not an actor, but I did a 1-year acting conservatory program in my 40s, where I was surprised by how simple the fundamentals were. One of them was always find the love in your character and the scene. Even if your character pushes against it or undermines it, you must decide where your character feels love lies, perhaps unconsciously, and play to that love in some way. You're never to judge your character. Even a villainous character develops in response to where he or she believes love lies. Forget that, and you risk losing the arc of your character's journey. Another simple principle is yes and. While improvising in rehearsal, the actor must find a way to say yes to scene partners, the director, the playwright, and his or her own experience and instincts, and then add something new. Even if that new thing reverses or seems to defy what came before, thinking of each addition to the scene as a yes and deepens its impact. Before this training, I sometimes would chastise myself for my improvisational, some might say inappropriate, conversational style. I have always enjoyed the challenge of increasingly wedging tangents that are personally meaningful into small talk. Some seem to find this amusing, others color slightly and look around to see if anyone else has overheard. The latter response most often accompanies diversions toward sex, religion, and money, each of which offers an excellent detour from the road to seemly dinner conversation. These days, it's hard to overlook the political subtext in all three spheres. My husband, Michael, has a TMI look for when I get carried away, which I mostly ignore. Because I'm with Plato when it comes to dinner parties. I read parts of the symposium this week and was like, I want more conversations like this. If you haven't read it, the symposium is about a dinner party in which all the guests keep love at the center of their conversation, praising love as the oldest and most virtuous god, among other inappropriate conversational tangents. Plato reminds me that if I keep love at the center of conversations, at least I won't be bored. The taboo topics of sex, religion, and money are so interesting to me because my experience of them makes no sense without passionate love at their center. Before finding passionate love at the center of these three areas of experience, I thought about them strictly rationally. As a child, I thought sex was something parents did only when they wanted to have a baby, probably in the bathroom. As a smarmy adolescent, I assumed religion was for people who lacked critical thought. As a sanctimonious college student, I knew for sure that consumerism was only for those with unconsidered values. In my experience, many religious conservatives seem less inhibited and more clear in articulating the passionate love at the center of their faith than us religious liberals, which is a problem for all of us who identify in some way as sensibly, if not passionately, liberal. So, taking a cue from my acting teachers, I'm trying to lean into conversation these days that keeps love at its center. Breaking through complacency, not to mention rage and numbness, isn't easy, but times seem too fraught not to at least try for some inappropriate conversation.
Our reading this morning is a poem titled A Word on Statistics by Wisława Szymborska. She was a Polish poet. She died in 2012. It's titled A Word on Statistics. Out of every 100 people, those who always know better, 52. Unsure of every step, almost all the rest. Ready to help if it doesn't take long, 49. Always good because they cannot be otherwise, 4. Well, maybe 5. Able to admire without envy, 18. Led to error by youth, which passes, 60 plus or minus. Those not to be messed with, 40 and 4. Living in constant fear of someone or something, 27. Capable of happiness, 20 some odd at most. Harmless alone, turning savage in crowds, more than half for sure. Cruel when forced by circumstances. It's better not to know, not even approximately. Wise in hindsight, not many more than wise in foresight. Getting nothing out of life except things, 30, though I would like to be wrong. Doubled over in pain and without a flashlight in the dark, 83 sooner or later. Those who are just quite a few at 35. But if it takes effort to understand, 3. Worthy of empathy, 99. Mortal, 100 out of 100. A figure that has never varied yet. There ends the reading. I was once in a hot yoga class trying an impossible posture. It was impossible for me, anyway, at that point in my brief but beneficial yoga practice. It involved standing on one foot while holding the other leg at the ankle behind me whilst bending forward at the waist and reaching out in front of me as far as I could. Standing bow is its name. It's common, but it was not common to me. And I mentioned it was hot yoga, but I would stress that it was very, very hot yoga, hot, humid, and a demanding 90 minutes of yoga with strict drill sergeant-like instructions, which were not to be modified. It was designed to be difficult, and it was. Now, I've not been graced with much physical agility or pliability or general bendiness. But I am stubborn and can, when I want to, follow directions well. And I like the heat and a challenge and a hard workout. And so as we went into the posture that day, I decided that I was going all in. I stretched higher than ever before, leaned over further than ever before, kicked my back leg up more than before, and saw for a brief second in the mirrors in front of us the picture of an impressive standing bow in the form of someone who a few months earlier had never taken a yoga class. I could see my toes way above my head, my arm looked like an arrow, even my fingers crested like its point. And then my too ego-full head suddenly became very light. I got lightheaded and then dizzy, and what had felt triumphant now felt precarious as I was unsure of how I would get myself out of this position without crashing to the floor. The room was packed as well. We were all right next to each other, and I realized that if I collapsed, I would take a neighbor out with me probably. And yet the lightheadedness continued, and I got more confused and anxious and unsure of what to do. I think I must have closed my eyes for a second because the next thing I felt was the instructor's hand on the small of my back and her other hand underneath me on my chest. And she calmly, without skipping any of the instructions to the rest of the class, balanced me and guided me back to this standing position. She had seen the signs of someone becoming stuck, and she knew how to get me back to where I needed to be. After she stood me up, she instructed me to just breathe for a posture or two and then get back into the sequence. After the class, I thanked her for her help and asked if what happened to me happened often, hoping that the answer would be yes. No, she said, that does not happen very often. But she said to keep trying it that way, to keep going to that edge. She said the edge will move and I'll get used to it. And I said that I thought I was going to fall. And she said, oh, yeah, everyone falls. You'll get back up. Which reminded me of that 90s song with the refrain, I get knocked down, but I get up again by Chumbawamba, which I sang for the rest of that day. And now you will as well. You're welcome. The center of that posture is balance. Perhaps the center of every posture is balance, although I'll leave that to the experts to decide. I practiced often, but always as a novice, never a teacher, and indeed never taught anyone anything about yoga. But I learned that breath and balance were at the center of each class for me. I should breathe, and I should notice my balance. When I wasn't mindful of either, my expressions would be uncertain and shallow. And even if I tried to really go for it without balance and breath, I wouldn't get very far. And indeed, sometimes I would fall. And yet, in the moment, if I was mindful of balance and breathing, I would get closer to an edge that would otherwise stay elusive. As I've thought about almost passing out in that class, I've come to believe that the problem really wasn't trying too hard. It was not breathing and not being balanced. That's why I almost took out those students on either side of me that day. This sense of the center holding the edges reminds me of our faith these days, specifically of the values that we've for now articulated as the guiding ones in Unitarian Universalism: generosity, justice, interdependence, equity, transformation, and pluralism. And the value given elevated standing by being placed right at the center of these six is love, the seventh value. This is the traditional love that our Universalist forebears believed was the whole nature of God, and the ancient love with which Unitarians followed Jesus and worshiped God. This traditional classic theology of love articulated today has expanded to become more diversely served and understood in our faith. For some, this love has nothing to do with God or Jesus. For some, it still does. For many, this love is expressed in numberless ways that blend and blur the lines between the secular and the sacred and all divisions therein. However, the understandings have changed over the millennia, though love guided us then and love guides us now. There's a dynamic consistency in this. Some things change, some things stay the same. As a faith, we are of love, we serve love then and now, but not limited now to how we did that then, nor would we ever wish for those to come to be limited by what we understand today. We take our turn, others theirs, and we do our best to leave them with a strong center with which they too can reach out toward the edges of their days. The center of this country, in some ways of the planet, feels like it's fraying today. I keep coming back to the first stanza of Yeats's poem, The Second Coming, which he wrote in 1919 about the First World War and the Irish War of Independence, and a generally very deadly and destructive time in his world. The times seemed apocalyptic, and he tried to capture that sense with these lines in 1919. Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falconer cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. The blood-dimmed tide is loosed, and everywhere the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity. We see these days the passionate intensity of those playing to our base instincts of tribalism, envy, blame, and judgment. We see them playing the powerless against the powerless in a dynamic as old as our country, in which those with much manipulate those with little into seeing each other as enemies instead of seeing the orchestrations and obscenities of extreme wealth and unchecked power. Power is recast as belonging to those struggling to survive, who are then targeted with the poet's passionate intensity for reprisal. And when there are repercussions for that, those who orchestrated our hatred for each other are untouched and always before the next camera, offering up the next group to hate. Meanwhile, the best lack conviction, or maybe it's vision or courage or risk to extend beyond the base, the core, the center where love guides and abides. There are two blessings of having love at the center of our values. One is that it really can help us believe that we are of love and that we are loved. We can move through the world knowing that we are loved. We can fall asleep and wake up and lose loved ones and struggle at work and overcome addictions and wrestle with our health and deal with every hard thing in life, knowing that we are of love and we are loved. Every message of being less than enough can be tempered by this assurance. Every time we think we don't measure up, when we think we're not of inherent worth and dignity, when we think we're beyond redemption, our faith can assure us that even in the most difficult of moments, we are always amidst an ancient and always new love. It's what our forebears would have taught us. It's what we can know anew today with love at the center of our faith. We can say that to ourselves. We can pray it to whoever or whatever we pray to. We can thank that mystery for this center. And if we do that enough, we just might come to believe it. And if we affirm that in ourselves, we'll believe it even more in others too, which is the second blessing of having love at the center of our faith. If we live like that's true, we'll bring more and more love into the world. The first blessing is for us. The second is for everyone else, now and to come. And we can cultivate those blessings by living as though love is at the center, even when we don't feel it. That claim is so radical that love is at the center, not judgment, not punishment, not law, not obedience, not office of authority. Love is at the center, has always been so radical that its most agile, poetic, and timeless expressions elude most of us. We're not saints. We may believe or want to believe that love is at the center of everything, but life has a way of leading us to other declarations, other choices, othering those who probably are feeling just as unloved, as put upon, as lonely, as sick, as frightened, and as anxious as everyone else. And though some respond to that by adopting the passionate intensity of opportunistic hatred, our way is to claim again that center of love so that we may move toward the edges of love, so that we may move toward the very people being sold that deadly narcotic of hatred. Our center of love should move us toward those edges, toward our neighbors and family members and coworkers and fellow students with lives that actively reflect the love that is at the center. If that center is only for us to assure ourselves of how right and good we are, we have profaned it. And we have made weak a prophetic, loving tradition that seeks not only like-minded agreement, but faithful dissent with the profanities of these days. We have made weak what has long been a strong progressive force for the good in our country and in the world. We have made small what should be big. We have made safe what should be risky. The love that is at the center of our faith should make us feel good and worthy and true, but it also must lead us to edges that are uncomfortable, contested, and deal directly with falsehoods. Our faith is meant to engage all of that. Peacefully, yes. Truthfully, of course. With open minds and hearts, indeed. Neighborly, civilly, that leads to the best transformation. But a balanced center must reach for the edges. Otherwise, the public faith lies dormant and the private faith becomes stagnant. The reading with which we started has one line that I always note. It's one of the last lines, the one about empathy. Maybe it stood out to you too. It imagines that out of 100 people worthy of empathy, 99. It's not difficult to think of one we imagine not to be worth it. It may not be difficult to think of more than one that we can imagine who aren't worth it. Our universalist belief is sometimes tested by those who can easily be imagined as being beyond the scope of love, and someone saying, well, what about him? What about her? I tend to say, don't worry about that one, worry about the other 99. If you're empathetic toward 99% of the world, I think you're doing fine. There's always someone or a few in our lives or in the world for whom we harbor particular, often warranted, often wise judgment. So don't start there. Start with the other 99, build on that good, and we can see how that changes us and the world, because love builds love like that. It's a muscle. It's strong. The more we use it, the more we can do with it. And if from our center of love, we reach further and further to the edges that we can get to now, today, we'll get to different edges in the future. We may not start with national figures we'll never meet or historical ones who are long gone. But the neighbor who we know votes differently than us, or the coworker with that annoying bumper sticker, we can start there. We can start where we are and live, speak, and pray with a sense of love for that person, reaching to hold them in that space, even if it's not true now, so that it might be true one day. We can live with a love that reflects our values, that renews us, and that over time creates this new world. That love can be like the soft hand on the small of your back, and another just over your heart that centers you and balances you. The hand that tells you when you're frightened and unsure and dizzy with concern over life and the world that you will be okay. The hand that can help you stand up tall and strong and find your balance. The hand accompanied by the urging to catch your breath and then go get back into it. Get back into the practice, get back into the process, reach anew for those edges, that those spaces may be known by a love greater than hatred, that the goodness within everyone can be affirmed and cultivated and shared. With balance and courage, we can have love at the center and reach further and further out, that our faith lives its promise to build and leave behind a better, more peaceful, more just, and more equitable world. May it be so, and amen. And alas, when our former music director, Margie Herman, announced her retirement last year, at the end of last year, she had been here for 19 years. And I told a colleague that we were looking at hiring our new music director in the fall, and she just said 2 words. She said, oh boy, because 19 years is a long tenure, and it's hard to find someone who can work within that system. The search committee put together a great search, interviewed lots of wonderful candidates. I was part of that process as well, and had a wonderful time with the committee. But there was really one candidate that we wanted, and that was the wonderful Samuel Stevenson here. However, Samuel was very, oh, let's see. One of the things that I really loved in the interview with Samuel was he said right out in the open, I'm applying to some academic programs, and if I get in, I'll need to leave sometime over the summer. And yet we still knew that he was exactly the person who should be in the position, the exact person he wanted, the perfect music director for our congregation right now. And so we made him an interim music director while we waited to see if he would get into the program. And because he's absolutely wonderful, of course he got into the program. Of course he did. We're very happy for Sam. He's going to go to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, where he'll enroll in the Doctorate of Musical Arts in Choral Music. He'll start that up in the fall. So Sam, we say goodbye today, although Sam is actually here for 2 more weeks. He's here through June. This is our last Sunday with the choir, so that's why we're doing that today. We say goodbye to you, but we do so with deep, deep, deep gratitude for everything you've offered our congregation. You've brought beauty and meaning and depth and a sense of community to our music program. You have been so much fun to put worship together with. I've really enjoyed our time together. I'm happy that you're leaving because I know it's for what you want in your life, and also sad a little bit to see you go. So we wanted to send you off with stuff. So since you're going back to school, you come on up. We got you a back to school gift. There's some pens, there's some glue sticks, there's some tape, there's some highlighters. And though I've never seen you make a mistake, in the theory that might happen, so we got you some erasers just in case you make one. There's also in here a gift card to help you get settled up in your new apartment in Illinois. Thank you so much for being a part of our church and our congregation. If you ever come back through this area, please stop by and say hello to us. And our music ministry also has some goodbyes to say to you.
All right, so we have several gifts for Sam because he deserves so much. He's given us so much. So Sam, you've enriched our lives here at UUCP, and we congratulate you on your move. And of course, we're sorry to see you go. And so we send you off with a UUCP t-shirt, which I'll let you get off and out. And many thanks as you go onward and upward in your career. Can you go next with the card?
We wanted to thank you, Sam, for at least endeavoring to make us to make us sound like $1 million. So we took up a collection for your travels. Here you are. And for helping to make our music program flower. There we are. Thank you so much, Sam.
So before, we have one more, and I just wanted to say that when you said you might be going to Paris, I was like, oh yeah, we need to give him some money so that maybe he could have a nice meal in Paris, or he could toast us and go, oh, thank you, UBCP. This is wonderful. But of course, fixing your apartment, whatever, you know. So the main thing thing I wanted to finish with is, I know that patience, skill, knowledge, humor were all part of what you did to help the choir so that you turned chaos into beauty. So we would go from a rehearsal where it was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Hopefully what was a beautiful sound on Sundays. And so I know that even though there were all those things like skill, knowledge, I also thought, you know, there's a little bit of magic there. And every magician needs a wand. So I present you with this wand. I hope that so I know you'll bring magic and joy as you go on in the world. So thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Can I say thank you?
Yeah.
It's been an absolute joy to be here. UUCP makes beautiful and honest music, music from the soul, music of the soul. And I'm just one person, so that's not because of me. So thank you all, and thank you all for sharing your beautiful gifts with me and for letting me share mine with you. And I'll always be grateful for the short time I had here. So thank you, everybody.
And at the end of our hour, we extinguish our chalice, knowing that its light stays with us until we gather again. Go forth grateful for the moments before you, the breath within you, the people among you, and the Spirit guiding you toward lives of love and kindness. And go forth knowing that you are held always and always with everyone else by that great love of no beginning and never ending. Go in peace, and amen.